Hello, I'm Donald Leggett and welcome to this latest edition of Share Views, brought to you by London South East. Our guest today is Jay Cheatham, the veteran Texas oilman who's CEO of the AIM-listed conventional oil and gas business, Pantheon Resources. Welcome, Jay.
Thank you, Donald. It's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for taking the time to be with me today.
No, I'm very intrigued as to what we're going to talk about today. So first of all, let me ask you to sum up Pantheon Resources. Give me an overview of Pantheon.
Okay. Pantheon is a small AIM-listed company. We have for conventional resources, a large acreage position in East Texas in Polk and Tyler counties. We have two reservoirs there, the Austin Chalk and the Eagleford Sandstone. We found a couple of others on the way down to some other wells, but it is a huge resource in excess of 300 million barrel potential, spread over 24 or 25,000 acres.
And today, this morning's RNS announcement summarises technical issues with your latest frac. You've hit problems with VOBM 5. So let me ask you, how big are those problems? And what are the solutions to those problems?
Well, it's obviously the question that's on everybody's mind today. We looked at the logs from the VOBM number 5, both ourselves, Vision, others that had worked in the area for Blackstone Minerals. We were convinced that this is a very, very good log, should have had an incredible flow from it. We perforated it, we fracked it. We got back some hydrocarbons, but we started producing a lot of formation water, we believe, coming from a deeper horizon. So we believe we may have fracked into a fracture plane that goes deeper, and we're producing water from that plane, that sand, and it's masking the hydrocarbon potential of this well.
So what are your options at this moment in time?
Well, as we announced in the RNS this morning, during the testing period, the wellhead and the flow lines did freeze up. That, gas expanding gets really cold, it froze everything up. So our plan is to get heaters on site so we can resume testing. And once we resume testing, we will have much more information on our way forward. We also plan to bring in even additional experts to help us interpret the logs to make sure that our interpretation is what we think it is.
So you're going to bring in one more wise head to look at those logs one more time?
Yes, we are.
Okay. Now, you've not had much luck because VOBM number 1 had issues. Casing issues. So what's the solution to those casing issues?
Okay, well, VOBM number 1 was, of course, our initial discovery well. It produced over 6 million cubic feet of gas a day and over 520 barrels of oil a day on a 12/64 choke. Now, that's a very, very tiny. It's about the size of the tip of the end of your pin at almost 7,000 pounds per square inch and no water, over a multi-day test. Then we shut that well in, and we believe that during that, for almost 2 years, during that shut-in period, the casing right at the top of the perforations collapsed on us. And when we then turned the well into our gas processing facility, Donald, sometime later, which was actually November of last year, initially we had fairly low volumes of water, which was not what we had seen on test, but then it slowly started increasing, and we ultimately discovered that we had what we believe is collapsed casing in the hole. The way to alleviate that is either to sidetrack it, come back up the hole, mill a window, go out several hundred feet or however far we believe we need to be away, recomplete in that same sand that we tested such great rates at, or just re-drill the well. Now, those are not inexpensive options, but they're about $3 million for 100%. So,
and why do you still believe that it's worth spending $3 million on this?
Well, because one, the logs tell us that it is a very good reservoir. The test rates on that well would indicate and we have all the data from the nearby AA wells field on that. It would be what we call an upper tier well, or a P10 kind of well, that would generate 80, 90, or $100 million of revenue over the life of that well at today's prices.
So presumably what's happening in the VOBM number 1 is a production problem. The VOBM 5 might be a bigger problem, though. It's water. To what extent will you find water elsewhere in your portfolio, do you think?
Well, we've drilled 2 other wells in Polk County, VOBM numbers 2 and 3. None of those are producing water to any extent. Most of the wells in the AA wells field, which is our analog, produced 10 or 20 barrels of water per day. None of them produce the kind of rates that we're seeing out of the number 5 or the number 1s. We're not seeing those rates out of the number 2 or the number 3. And over in Tyler County, where we drilled and completed the Smith well, we saw some minor amounts of water there, but certainly not the kind of rates that the 1 and the 5 are exhibiting.
So to what extent should I be worried about the overall estimates of your entire acreage, given that we've got this water problem?
It's a great question, and I would say Tyler County, where most of our reserves lie, is totally unaffected by what's happening over in Polk County. I'm still a firm believer that this water is coming from a deeper horizon and has no implications for the overall resource estimate for our Polk County acreage.
How much is that resource estimate actually worth, do you think?
The West AA resource estimate was 58 million barrels, which is about 1/5 of the total resource estimate over all of the acreage. And we originally had 50% of it, so that was 29 million barrels. Even as a total write-off, it's not catastrophic, but I firmly believe that we're going to re-drill the number 1 or sidetrack it and be producing cash flow from the number 1 again in the kind of quantities that we originally anticipated.
And let's take an overview of all your assets. How great is your potential, your oil barrel estimate potential?
Well, it's outsized, really, because the 301 million barrels does not include the 2 bonus zones that we found in our number 4 well in Tyler County. Those are the Wilcox and the Navarro. The Wilcox had two zones in it. Look very much like a field south of us called the Jazz Field that has done great things with horizontal drilling. We have 4 penetrations in our overall area in the Navarro. It looks like it covers about 25,000 acres. It was over 200 feet thick in our particular well. It was tested by my former company, Atlantic Richfield Company, in this area, and it tested gas and 36-degree gravity oil. So there's huge potential there, and that's what we're talking to private equity interests about coming in and helping fund the development of the Navarro and the Wilcox.
Okay, so that's private equity, and are they involved in the farm-in that you've been talking about?
That is the farm-in.
That is the farm-in. So tell me a little bit more about that. You're in discussions with 2 different operators about a farm-in.
We're in discussions, and if they come in, we'll put our acreage up for some capital, and we would endeavor to drill 1 or 2 horizontal tests to test the theory of what do we have in these horizons.
Okay.
We know there's oil and gas there because we produced oil and gas both in the Wilcox and the Navarro when we were trying to drill through it. The gas and the oil cut our mud weight significantly in both of those zones. And that was a big part of the reason why we were unable to get to our original target, which was the Eagle Ford Sandstone, which is below that Navarro. So below the Navarro is the Austin Chalk and then the Eagle Ford.
So the different elements we have your balance sheet currently, you have the farm-in, and then this great potential. So how did you go from balance sheet, farm-ins to unlocking the potential? So talk me through that journey.
All right. Well, we announced 2 weeks ago that we had just under $6 million, and that included prepaying for the frac that we did 2 weeks ago. So the first thing is to get the number 1 well back into production at the rates that we originally anticipated.
And that's 45 days, I understand?
That from start. Now, we have to contract a rig, decide whether we're going to do a redrill or a sidetrack, and this will require a fairly big rig because we are deep, we are high pressure. I didn't mention, but the number 5 well had almost 12,000 pounds per square inch reservoir pressure, so we need a big rig to do that. So it won't be 45 days from now that we will have a result on that. It'll be about 30 to 45 days from the time we initiate the operation.
And how quickly does it take you to get all that stuff together?
The long lead item is, of course, the drilling rig.
Yeah.
The long lead item is the drilling rig. We want to get as much data as we can out of the number 5
so
before
you want to do your thinking on number 5?
We want to do our thinking on the number 5, and we plan to bring in an outside log analyst expert to look over our shoulder, tell us what they.
Okay. Last 6 months, what did you achieve production-wise in the last 6 months?
Well, we were able to turn the Polk County gas plant onto production, and we were flowing our numbers 1, 2, and 3 wells into that gas processing facility. We are advancing, going into commerciality in Tyler County with our Smith well. We're talking to the 2 incumbent gas processing facility owners in Tyler County about being able to ship untreated gas from our Smith well, and it's fairly high carbon dioxide, and so that's unusual. Normally you'd have to treat it and take the CO2 out of it into their pipeline systems. They are starved for gas. There's a deal to be made there, and we will make that deal hopefully very, very soon.
So what kind of revenue streams do you actually have?
Well, we have revenue streams currently from the 1, although it's impaired with the water production and the collapse casing, 2 and 3. But the real upside is getting number 1 back on to the kind of rates we anticipated. That would generate circa $600,000 a month for Pantheon. The Smith well could generate $250,000 a month for Pantheon. So when we're able to do those 2, then we're sitting at $850,000 a month of revenue. Now that's enough if we sit there for a few months and do that to go out and drill another well in a few months of
and that
revenue.
makes you look quite attractive, doesn't it?
Yes, it allows us to not be super aggressive with our drilling program, but at least continue with it.
And let me finally talk to you about the geological work done on Eagleford Sandstone, the mini basins. That presumably puts you in a good position, assuming your data turns out to be correct.
Yes, and that was a very, very exhaustive study with the Bureau of Economic Geology. It took almost 3 years, and they have extensive data sets. Our partner Vision has real extensive data sets. All of the well logs from really a 4-county area. It's got all the production history, completion history from the Blackstone Minerals wells in the AA Wells field. Lots of expertise, and their analysis was that they are really mini basins and not stratigraphic.
And was that good news?
Well, that was what we thought. That's what we thought, and we saw these 3. One very, very large mini basin in Tyler County and these 2 mini basins that are about the size of the AA Wells field in Polk County. We went out and acquired that acreage, and we drilled a really great discovery well in Polk County, then we drilled a discovery well in Tyler County, and we still believe that.
Fantastic.
That's still our
final question. What do you think a full value exit looks like for Pantheon Resources? It's a big one, that.
It is a big one, and I know some of the bulletin boards are saying 3 to 8 kind of number, and I'd say that's in the range. what a full value actually would per share.
A P per share? 3 to 8 pence per share?
No, £3 to £8.
Oh, £3 to £8. Well, I'm sure we'd all be happy with £3 to £8.
Yes, we would all be happy.
Jay, it's been lovely to meet you. Thank you so much for coming in and talking us through Pantheon.
And thanks for letting us tell the Pantheon story.
No, we get you at a very interesting point in your life. I'm sure in 6 months' time, it'll be back into sunny uplands and happier times. Okay, Jay, thank you so much indeed. So that's it for now. Thank you to Jay, CEO of Pantheon Resources, for joining us. And as always, thanks to you for watching. And finally, don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel for more exclusive interviews like this one. Thank you so much indeed. Bye-bye.